everybody? Cam Janssen here from Camversations. Hey, I got the boys back together. By the way, we're brought to you by Punchline Productions, and we're at Unknown Adventures right now in this lovely studio. This table probably costs more than anything in my life. I took that from Jimmy because he said the same damn thing. We got a great setup here, so check that out. Unknown Adventures.
Or is it Adventure Unknown?
All right, start over.
And we're off. We're back, baby. We're back.
Why don't you just,
It's right there in the
why
window.
don't
Son of a bitch.
you should just leave that in, though. That's
Leave
funny.
that in. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
we
fine.
are.
It's
Just
Adventure
like this.
Unknown. I screwed up on that one. All good. This is our second time doing this. Last time we were in a spa and I got a facial and whatnot. That was pretty hardcore. But check it out. Punchline Productions, Adventure Unknown. I got the band back together.
And Leroy Glover.
And Leroy. Oh,
He's
God.
coming later.
Oh, God. Inside jokes out the wazoo. Do got the band back together. Back over at 590. We had a great show called Hot Take Central. And I wanted to get these guys back together. There's so much to talk about. So I'm going to go down the line here. Jim the Cat Hayes, what's going on, baby? How you doing?
It's good to be back with you guys. I miss you.
Miss all you guys.
We still text once in a while.
Yeah.
I do a lot of liking of Charlie's tweets because he's
thank you.
heavy in there.
Isn't that nice?
And I haven't seen Matt Whitener
I'm still alive.
because we got to figure out how to strategize my run for lieutenant governor.
It's getting close. It's getting close. All of this politicking that's been going on in the news. I was like,
No.
we got to get Cat ready for a debate.
Yeah.
We got to debate about something, even if it's about the quality of the lunch tray.
And that's why we're here today.
Hot Take Central, by the way, would be the best debate prep for any political candidate. That's where you cut your teeth.
I do find it like I'm watching TV and stuff like that. I had some time off, and I'm like, man, I wish we could discuss that right now. I wish we had all the guys together to discuss different things. A lot going on. Charlie, what's going on with you, buddy?
What's up, everybody?
Good to see you.
Just busy NASCAR boy now.
He's
these
a
days.
NASCAR
during
boy.
during the NASCAR playoffs. So a lot going on. And unfortunately, the Cardinals aren't in the playoffs. So I haven't really been watching a ton of other baseball playoffs. But the Blues are here too.
It's going by quick.
The Blues are here too.
So
Baseball's
we have
been
you to
great,
talk
though.
about that.
We have a lot going
Baseball's
on.
been great, though.
Yeah.
I've been watching. I mean, my heart is broken because there's no birds on the bat in it, but it's been fun to watch.
No, it's been high drama. A lot of people with interesting discussions about the MLB playoffs. We're gonna get into all that kind of stuff. Maddie Whitener, what's up, baby?
Man,
You're
you
blacked
know-
out too. I get
You know me, man. Yeah,
We're twinsies.
I wore my costume. I thought we was dressed like Cam Day. Halloween's
know.
coming up.
I sweat.
I might be
and,
you this year. No, I don't know if I can do that. It ain't about me. I brought the man itself.
There he is.
My brother Eric Heckman came, and he's gonna put on a show for us later on. But
Check
he's giving
that
us
out.
a coming attraction here, getting started.
Damn good sushi. Check that out. Where can guys find you, by the way, if they want to get something catered for something like this?
My easiest place to find me is on Instagram, Dining with E. All my boys call me E. There's a backstory to that. We won't get into that part.
Easy.
Oh, sure we can.
Entourage.
Easy E,
Yeah,
baby.
well, that's just one of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of slashes in there.
Depends on how much sake is on the table.
This looks.
Look at that.
This looks like a piece of art.
It
This
does.
looks too good to eat, actually.
Well, it tastes as good as it looks.
We're gonna dig in there. Well, we've had plenty of your sushi over the years, man. It's been really, really good. So
This is the best
I
sushi.
know. I'm staring at that right now. I'm like, God dang.
This is the best sushi in St. Louis, and we're supposed to sit here and,
Yeah, but you're
love having everybody back together.
But on a radio rule, though, I know this is great and it looks lovely, but when you eat on the radio, I do think that's god awful.
well,
Remember Eric and TJ used to do that? No. Smacking. John Hadley used to smack. He'd do it on purpose.
I wondered how you were going to fill your time without a board op to feed.
Yeah,
during
that's
this.
right. Well, I
There's
did
no
feed the people. 'Cause
Beef
that's what I do.
jerky. There's no cans of tuna. There's no
Half-eaten.
You know,
Half-eaten. Never fresh. Never a whole.
Well, hey, it's good to get you guys together, man. And we got a lot to discuss. Good seeing all you guys. What do you want to start with? Should we start with the Cardinals? Should we get into that, Jimmy?
Sure.
Right off the bat, you're the Wiley veteran. We know the year was...
I don't know what's going on with bellies.
Okay, we're separate entities, I guess. It's all connected, but what's your mindset right now with this organization? We've heard so many people discuss it on Twitter, and people are complaining about this. Like, where are you at with everything?
All right, so I'll be honest. I think the Cardinals should have done a bigger mea culpa with their postseason news conference. They did some of that, and they did lay out a plan, which I understand. But let's be honest, you can't battle the fans because they're your customers, and the fans are always right. Be with the fans. If it didn't go according to plan, let them know it over and over again and say, look, we have a plan where we think is going to get us to a better place. I do think that their biggest problem, aside from not winning games, was they weren't developing pitchers, right? So now they have a plan to develop pitchers. I think Chaim Bloom is a fresh face, and he'll have a bigger role coming next year. Meantime, behind the scenes, he'll be trying to change everything about player development. And the sad thing is, I think we're going to see guys who I like, who underperformed this year, probably gone. Like Goldie, I have a feeling Arenado's gone. I think we're going to see sort of a youth movement. To me, the tricky part is, and I'll pass the ball off, is that I think that the Cardinals have talent, even without those guys at the corner. When I look at Blaine, okay, their starting pitching was middle of the road, not good, not terrible. Bullpen was great. I thought they'd win 6-4, but because their offense was so bad, why was it so bad? Well, your guys at the corners didn't perform like they're used to, like their baseball cards say, and then guys like Gorman and Walker didn't do it either. Okay, so now they're not good offensively. So now you have to figure out what we saw from Gorman last year. Is that a fluke? Is Walker going to get it back? Those are two big pieces, and you still don't really know what you have. So there are some concerns going forward.
So when your prospects don't deliver, when your high-priced veterans don't deliver, and then everybody else is just kind of there to play their role, it doesn't work out. That's what last season ended up being. You just ended up just drifting down the river, and it didn't go anywhere. And it wasn't as just downtrodden as the year before, but you knew at that point, you knew it was over. Like by the time September, August came around, there wasn't any hope. There wasn't picking people up at the deadline to try to make moves, to try to do this. It was just over with, and you just made your peace with it. I think the hard part about last week's news conference is, really, it just kind of said, yeah, it's gonna be a little worse next year because we got to get money back on track, and there's not gonna be a lot of ads, and some of the guys you just brought in, they might be gone. I came away from the news conference like, oh my God, did we run this by a PR? Is there any spin? Like this?
Kind
the
of
only
depressed.
thing you had to do was you need to still at least try to sell tickets. But I guess you got mad in years past though, because it was like, don't distract me with your bobbleheads and your promos and say that we're going to get better if we're not going to invest in the team really. But now you've just said outright, not only are we not going to invest, we're going to divest too, and that's hard to deal with. So
There was a little spin because when I asked Mo about rebuild, Cardinal fans just don't see rebuilds. How difficult is that?
He said, that's not my problem.
No, you know what he said? He said, we prefer resetting, not rebuilding. That's a bit of a spin. But here's the thing that watching playoff baseball now, there's some really good teams, and there's also some teams that in there that you're like, okay, pitching's key. You got to get better pitching. Yeah. But maybe they can be competitive. Maybe they could. It doesn't seem that way. But the way baseball is now, I'm not so sure that because they were not good for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So maybe if the young guys start hitting, maybe they could be at least where they were. I don't know. I'm not.
I think they can be.
I don't think. That's
83
how
wins. These position players.
Yeah.
Couple pitchers step up. I think they're going to be better than people think next
You
year.
sound like a rights holder. Right?
No,
He does, doesn't he? He does, doesn't he?
No, but I'm okay even with it's a rebuild at the minor league level. It is kind of a reset at the big league level. And by the way, the
Retool?
whatever. But I mean, there's a lot of good position players. They just need to perform.
So the question is,
Why?
When you look at I've been in on Mason Wynn forever. Same thing with Burleson, who did have a rough
Good stock.
second half.
2 good stocks right there.
Those are 2 good pieces. But the main pieces to me were outside of them, Walker and Gorman. And I don't think we know what they are. I mean, we've seen them be great, and I think that's possible to happen again. You just don't know.
The thing that I laughed at the press conference was, and this is where I agree with Jim in the sense of just admit you screwed up.
That's it.
Just admit it. And
Big deal.
when you say you need an entire revamp, we just keep using these rewords, of the entire personnel department.
Rewind. It's a
rewind.
repair.
But that tells you right there that things were not going well. When Mo said, something along the lines of, it's not that we were doing things wrong. It's just things have changed. It's like, no, that means you're doing things wrong, right? Just admit it. Like you were doing things wrong. You wouldn't say we need to have Heimblum come in and totally implode the entire minor league organization, player development system if things were okay. So just say that. You don't have to, oh, it's not that. And then even Bill DeWitt Jr. said something like, what did he say about next year? You know, there's a lot of things to be excited about. Well, it's okay. I mean, that you're doing a little bit of promotional work there. I get it. But like, just flat out tell the fans, hey, we screwed up. We're sorry. We're going to be better.
We'll be better.
Let's go.
I would like to know what the things are to be excited
Mason
about.
Wynn.
That's the, okay. we
Alec
got
Burleson.
New
We got
bar,
that.
Donovan.
Bar?
McGreevy.
Is a new bar
McGreevy?
exciting anymore? Like,
Yeah, when he's on the field, he's good.
I mean-
Donovan's good. Those guys are good.
How many guys are gone off this roster? That's the part that came away from me is how many guys, what's the team going to look like? It's almost impossible for me to have any real thought about it right now because I'm like, what's the team going to look like?
Goldie's gone.
Well, yeah, he's gone.
Goldie's-
They've made that clear, but it seemed
I have a
like
feeling-
everybody was up.
I have a feeling Arenado, I think they would like to trade Helsley, which I understand why. I just think sometimes closers are so important that people say they're unimportant. Because if you look, they have other guys they think can close, but you're never going to get that elite level. A lot of people disagree with me. If you're not sure you're in the postseason, you don't need a closer. I'd like to see Helsley stay. First of all, it's fun watching him pitch. But they're probably going to look at a guy like Liberatore as a guy who could close if they decide to trade Helsley, because you'll have a little control with Helsley, and he may be the best closer in baseball.
He's got 2 more years left, I think.
I think 2
One.
years, one year of control. So I mean, but that's a bargain, you know. If you don't have to give up the ranch for him, I think maybe they look at JoJo as someone who could close games.
my boy right there.
The part that really surprised me that came up was the Sonny Gray floating, saying, well, you know, might not have got what you needed there. I look at the numbers, and I'm like, well, I mean, considering where things were at 2 years ago, when there was absolutely nobody in the rotation doing anything, and we were spinning bets about Adam Wainwright getting one more win or not, and going through the painstaking effort that was, you're gonna let Sonny Gray go too? I mean, he's owed a lot of money. He's going up $10 million extra next year compared to what he was owed this year.
I think it's $62.5 million is still left for the 2 years plus the option.
So you're going to have to find the right team to be able to take on a Same thing with Arenado. Like, not every team could say, oh, we'd like to take a shot at Nolan Arenado.
Well, the
You
Except
gotta
his
find-
goes down though.
Well, yeah.
That's the good part
it's
about
still
his.
a lot of money left.
No, I know, but I didn't look at this till the other day. I was thinking, okay, Arenado, $35 million. It's like 32, 27, 15. So it's like $74 million over 3 years, that's a lot better than $35 million a year.
Because you got that $50 million rebate. They
And
gave
by the
you
way-
when he came over.
And by the way, sorry, Rockies pay $5 million each of the first 2 years.
That ain't bad.
You think he's going to bounce back, regardless of where he is? They ran a graphic in the postseason, one of the postseason games, about guys who lead the major leagues in homers over the last, whatever it is, 5-6 years. Arenado was like near the top of the list. Not the guy we saw last.
How many of those years over the 5 or 6 were in Colorado?
Probably the bulk.
So, I mean, you know, when you look at what you're getting, unless you're trading him back to Colorado, are you getting that same guy when you send him elsewhere?
He's still a guy that I think, regardless of where he's playing, is going to get you 27, 30 homers. If that pull power is there, he just became a different looking hitter.
My thought is that if you're going to get rid of any big contract that you're going to float out there that doesn't necessarily, I don't know, fit into what they're trying to do here, and I'll be the first to say I'm not 100% clear on what the goal is for the team other than to say, we're going to trade guys that are going to get prospects so you can get back to being relevant sooner than later, because doing it through the draft is going to take too long. That's what I hope the message is. What about Wilson Contreras? I mean, do you need a catcher that's that price that you probably need to be switching to first base if that's going to be the case, but you've got Burleson who probably makes sense there. You don't want
And
to spend
Herrera.
money. Yes, I mean, and that's a guy that fits into it. So
That's how you know Goldie's gone. There's
you
just
gotta,
no.
I'm done with that part. I know he's gone, but I would rather see a Contreras move than a Arenado move at this point because number one, I think it's easier to do so. People will take that offense in that spot, and somebody might take him as a first baseman. It just doesn't seem to be a fit here, and it seems to be a luxury to have a catcher that's hitting if you have Herrera, if you have Pagas, you've got all the people that are there that contributed that way. I don't know. If you're going to take the team apart, though, don't half-step. Don't keep a couple of guys.
Except
do the whole thing. Do like the Blues did a few years.
He's one of their dependent. He'll give you production.
Do you want it though? The way they're going right now.
When he's on the field. By the
And
way,
yeah.
let's be honest. There's no way in hell Nolan Arenado wants to be here next year.
No.
Let's just start with that. There is no way on God's green earth
That's fans of baseball?
that he wants to be around.
He told me
anymore.
he did.
There's just no chance. By the way,
Waxer,
the fact that he opted in and cost himself like $70 million and then stuck around for 2 crap years, like, God bless him.
Yeah.
But that was a horrible
He'll be
mistake.
okay.
No, I'm not feeling sorry for him, but I'm just telling you, there's no way on earth Nolan Arenado wants to stick around. There's just no way.
And we kind of glossed over that Ollie's back.
Ollie's back. I'm fine with that.
I am too,
Yeah,
because look, you can criticize every manager.
Ollie's kind of back like Joe Biden's back, though. He's just kind of here still. We're going to run it out.
Well, no,
Joe Biden's
because
back.
Joe Biden is not going to be the president
He's
next
still
year.
walking on the beach.
He's
and
still in the seat now.
Ollie will be the manager next year.
Ollie inherited some bad rosters. I don't think. Now, look, you can say a manager is responsible for what happens on the field, and I get that too. But even if you look at the analytics of most Major League Baseball teams, they will say your manager can swing 3 to 4% the outcome in either direction.
Okay.
So if that's the case, a manager is responsible for 7-8% of what goes on the field. With his decisions, maybe the blame lies elsewhere. So I'm glad he's getting another shot.
I'm indifferent about. I mean, he's here. We got a manager. Click that off the list.
We did it.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this: if they won, and the fact that Ollie didn't have the uniform on and wears his hat backwards and stuff, and argues with umpires for any reason, don't you think fans would love him if they were winning?
Yes.
Yes.
He
The
checks all the boxes for beloved intangible.
He
Cardinal,
does have
other than
odd.
winning.
He does have an odd post game at times too, where he'll kind of.
Except for pigment.
But that's because he's losing.
He is not
They're
a scrappy
mostly
white guy.
losses.
That's true.
Yep. I know. I'm
He's
just
a little
throwing it out.
condescending, but again, we don't focus on condescending if they're winning.
Yeah.
We only focus on condescending in post-game press conferences when that's the only interesting thing going on.
I mean, we had a manager who won, Tony La Russa, who had one guy that would ask this. He was the first question guy, Calvin, and he would say, even if they lost 10-1, nice RBI in the second, Tony, and Tony would say, it's good to have a good question.
That was cute. And also Tony,
May.
but Tony could also be condescending. You can be condescending once you win 2 or 3 World Series. It's just the way it is. Like Ollie, if he had 2 World Series, nobody would say anything.
I agree.
What do you guys think about the MLB playoffs so far? People are talking about how some of these, number 1 seed teams are just sitting around for 5-6 days, and all of a sudden they're all out. You got these guys that are grooving; they don't get too much time off, and all of a sudden, baseball's just different. It's different than any
tell
other
you what I
physical
love
sport.
about it.
What do you like
And some
about it?
of
What do you
is
hate about it?
just-
Let's go.
It's maybe it's just randomly how the chips fell, how things worked out. I love how many teams are playing series against teams from their own division right now, because that's got the stakes up. You've got guys that are going at each other's necks. Postseason baseball, first of all, doesn't lack for excitement at any point. It's one of the absolute best. It's
great.
Postseason sports.
I don't like that part of it.
You don't like
I
postseason?
like boring.
I like no. That's like hockey. They created the deal where now you just play your divisions for the first couple rounds. I want to see teams that I don't see as much in the playoffs.
I think we get so much of that now during the regular season with the balanced schedule that you see less of teams playing against each other who are traditional rivals, if you will, or divisional games. I love the fact that these teams are playing for it the way that they are, because it seems like if you get through that, you get to the championship series, it's going to be survival at this point. But I mean, the Dodgers and the Padres going at each other's necks the way that they are. That Mets and Phillies series was something else. I mean, the only one really right now is you've got the underdog, if you will, in the Royals playing the Yankees, and that's got the whole dynamic of everybody in the world rooting against the Yankees as is. I'd love how this has worked out because of the way
Except for
they're
the
going after
commissioner.
each other. And that, I mean, the Tigers-Guardians game the other night was incredible. Like, I don't know, I've loved it so far.
And there's been a little theater with the Profar robbing it. I mean, baseball has a sense of humor.
Manny
right?
Machado
He robs it.
throwing fastballs
Right,
into the Dodgers dugout.
The whole thing is great. I love the Profar robs it, kind of trolls the fans a little. Then, lo and behold, the next time they play, same area, it just eludes his glove. I mean, baseball has a center, and there's enough drama with that stuff.
But do you like the setup on how the playoffs, how everything's going on? Like, I mean, you could. I mean, it's such a long season. All of a sudden, like you could just get jammed.
So you're
up.
saying like the powerhouses that had great seasons, it's not weighted to give them an advantage.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, but we've seen in St. Louis, when the Cardinals had a bad team, you get on a roll.
Yeah.
I don't care what the playoff setup is. If you're hot at the right time, you're probably going to knock off a team that's better than you if you look at the roster.
So I'm looking at the Padres right now. I mean, they have been rolling for the last 2 months at this point. I mean, and now they're taking the Dodgers to a Game 5. I mean, I love it. I think that it's in a great position to still have the best baseball yet to be played, and that's really what you want. I mean, me personally, I love seeing these top seeds get pushed all the way to the brink to see if they can get through. I mean, you've got a little bit of everything you want. You've got your Dodgers, you've got your Yankees, but you've also got the Guardians, you've got the Royals, you've got all these teams that are coming from all these different areas. And, man, I love it. Charlie, you got to really be in a tough spot with the Tigers and the Guardians. This is pitting your entire childhood against each other.
Maybe that's why I said I didn't like that. I didn't want them to play in the first round. I just feel like the division teams, even Mets Phillies, which was great. I just feel like if you get Padres Dodgers in the NLCS to me, like I like seeing the different divisions play each other early in the playoffs. Yeah, Guardians, Indians. I mean, if you don't really have a vested interest, though, and there's a reason that game has always been on at like noon or 3.
I haven't seen one of them.
The
I've seen
Marlow
all of them.
family loves it because we're from Toledo, Ohio, but I don't think the rest of America does.
The fact that you've got 3 AL Central teams left out of the 4 that are left,
Yeah.
in, you know who's really Rob Manfred's like, let's go Yankees. We need you to keep going at this point because if it's not that, you're getting either Cleveland, Detroit, or Kansas City in the World Series.
But look at, I mean, serious, I know everybody talked about this, but look at the Dodgers with the ridiculous payroll, with every great player on earth, and they're doing a bullpen game.
Because of injury.
I know, in a do or die. So I don't want to say it doesn't matter what you spend, but even look at the Yankees could lose with what's their payroll? $300 million to the
give or take.
little Royals that lost 100 games last year. So there is beauty in that. I do like that.
That's why I'm thinking, all right, the Cardinals did spend some money to get, in the top third of Major League Baseball. Didn't work out. Now they're not. All right, maybe they can do what other teams are doing.
Baseball purgatory is quite a place, and they're locked clean into it right now.
You know who else is taking a beating? Bob Costas on the calls. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I haven't watched the games, but I've been seeing the commentary.
Clips where he's like, "Oh, this could be a triple. Interesting." And I'm like, they're kind of right on that. He wasn't very enthusiastic. Get me into the damn game, Bob. What's going on here?
They need to send you.
Yeah, I'd be.
More energy.
Postseason
I
baseball.
fucked this thing up at the beginning. Are you kidding?
Who
You
is
do
Bob
that?
Costas' color guy for these games?
I don't know.
Who's doing the color?
Why's
Anybody?
it got to be about that, Charlie?
No, I'm saying.
No,
But, okay,
sorry.
Racist.
Sorry.
So you heard what I'm talking about, though.
I've seen everybody. I've seen everybody ripping him on X. What I'm
remember
saying
who
is,
was-
I haven't watched the game, so knowing that Bob Costas, especially now, is pretty dry.
Yeah.
I would think his color guy, if you had a little energy, a little juice, like a fun young guy.
I can't remember.
They should pair him with
someone to look
they
up.
should
So
pair
nobody's
whoever-
watching, which is fine.
Whoever the
No,
national
I
guy
watch,
is,
I watch. I
they
can't-
should pair him with a local guy and make them play off of each other and do the whole thing.
I've seen
Local hockey.
I've seen at least 2 games of
X-Dog.
full games of every series except Tigers Guardians because they're early, and I watched Bob. And
Which game is Bob doing? Which series?
And I'll be honest, because there's so many games I'm
think
watching, I lose
Yankees.
track. So I will agree. Like Bob Costas has more talent in his fingernail. He could clip off a fingernail. All
why
right,
I'm
more
concerned.
talent than Hayes. Okay, but I agree. He's a little too sedate with his calls now. He is. You gotta. It's a little different now. You got to sell a little, right? And he doesn't do any of that. And I do think it's old school versus new school a little bit. But I agree, he doesn't have enough energy. And then there's a couple of calls he made, like on they called it a base hit to center on a low pop to second base or whatever it was. So he's getting criticized to that. Sometimes on social media, these things steamroll.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think it's as bad
Wait,
as
are you
would
saying
think.
that something's getting out of
Jimmy,
control
I
on
disagree
social
with you.
media that it's not as big of a deal
We're just
as it should
concerned.
be?
We're just concerned. That's
About Bobby?
we're
Yeah,
just
I don't
concerned.
think it's as
Bobby
bad as
C.
it's portrayed, but I think he could
I need
Give a little bit
to
more
hear
energy.
the audio of him not wanting to read the hit for CNN.
I saw it. I don't know what that. That could have been a couple different things. He's just probably like, I have no time. But
What happened?
he was calling Hot Mike actually, and he said he was like reading. He's doing all this stuff trying to get organized. He's like, oh, I got to do a CNN live read. I can't do that.
Doesn't he work for CNN?
Probably, I would say that.
I
I know it's probably not Fox
Everybody
News.
works for like 4 companies now, so at some point you go up.
But isn't he a contributor on CNN?
I've seen him on there. So.
I think he is.
But that's so. Just so you know, in the booth, there's a bunch of buttons. One's cough, one's talk to the producer, and sometimes you think you're talking to the producer, you don't hit the button, or you hit the wrong one, and your mic is.
Why didn't we ever get those buttons?
We never even had a cough button.
No, ours didn't work. We could have used that a couple times.
The other thing,
Right, JoJo? It didn't work.
the media part is pretty cool too. Like I think Ken Rosenthal is excellent, and I think he's a really nice guy. But he wrote that article excoriating some of the Padres for their behavior, called them bratty children or whatever. And so now when he's doing his dugout reports, he's been barred, at least he was for a game, the Padres dugout. I didn't see him in there last
Really?
night. Yeah.
No, they said they weren't talking to him
Yeah,
either.
that's
Did the
funny.
whole thing.
I mean, it's impersonal. It
I
seems
need to eat
impersonal.
sushi on the air button because this
Eat
is
one
getting
of those
this is
bad boys.
getting
I'm
different.
starving. Dude, my stomach.
Yeah, just do it.
Do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Give me one. I'll do it.
I'm
Give me a
starving.
thing. Move it in
I'm
here.
not afraid. I
Eric,
can't
give
even
him a
use
tour.
chopsticks.
Give me one of them chops, please, and thank you.
Eric, what are we eating? Tell us what's going on.
We
First
got
of all,
it, baby.
we're talking about baseball. We're talking about sushi.
Let me start. What's
How many
this one right
teams?
here?
How many teams do you got that are ordering from you right now down there at the thing?
So
Charlie, use the stick.
yeah, I'm still on the MLB catering list. So typically it's a lot of the visiting teams, and I think I've catered almost every visiting team that the Cardinals have played against at some point in time. Cubs, I know everyone hates me saying the Cubs, but boy, they eat a lot.
Business.
It's yeah. But I do have to say, when you guys were talking about the Cardinals, I think there is a little bit of a correlation that the sushi consumption at Busch Stadium has been less the past 2 seasons.
They don't got the protein.
It is a direct correlation. All they need to do
We
is
solved it.
Yeah. It's very non-scientific, but I think there's something to it.
No, it might be.
Kat, I got a scoop for you here. You
Damn.
got to find out Hein Bloom's preference on sushi. That could turn the whole thing around.
And he's got to infuse more of it into the clubhouse culture.
Absolutely.
That's what we're saying.
It's going to pick up the spirits.
Not gonna lie to you, my mom and dad never got me into sushi when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Living way out there, I don't think I knew what sushi was.
What's the
Yeah.
sushi
But when I started
situation in
playing-
Eureka?
Yeah.
When I started, it's non-existent. But once I started playing, the guys were like, "Hey, let's go to sushi."
Yeah.
And I was young. I'm like, "What do you? Okay, what is this?" Then all of a sudden, I'm spending $290 every
easily.
other day in Jersey at Yoshi Sono,
Oh man.
crushing sushi.
Yeah,
I really like the market price Toro as a young guy.
The MP.
Yes.
Whenever you see MP,
It's like, how much is that? Oh, it's
market
$14
price.
a piece. Interesting. Why
It's
do you- 30
competitively
of them?
priced today for you, Cam.
I mean, yeah, I've chilled out of it.
I don't
have
trust
a wife now.
I don't trust market pricing because I think that you can swing it on me. It costs less for him than it does for me, and I don't like that.
Man.
You put a number next to where
Don't
I'm
want
at.
the unknown.
Damn, that's good, by the
Now,
way.
do you also do the umpires? Because here's a little secret: the umpires probably eat better than the players. I've seen the
Yeah.
spread. You don't do the umpires?
No. Well, I don't know if they kind of sneak in and grab some of the food, but because when
Oh,
yeah.
If anybody knows about sneaking in and grabbing some food, this is
Yeah.
the commissioner right
Is that
here.
right? I
He'll
don't know
straighten it out.
because we'll drop off a ton of food, and I'm like, how many guys are eating this stuff? They say it's for 30 or 40. I'm like, we just made food for like 100.
Yeah, but these
eat.
guys,
big
yeah,
boys.
I know.
dude, they're not eating for like 8 hours straight. They're just
Yeah,
sweating their
that's
ass
true.
off. They're like,
Wouldn't
no,
this help your vision too?
Oh,
Like for
absolutely.
umpires?
Yeah, I think so.
Makes you horny as well if you eat enough of that pounder, which is always good. It's
Cam,
confidence.
go ahead and take a scoop of
just
that
saying.
wasabi and see
I'm-
how that does you when you
Oh,
get
it
that
woke
in
me
there.
up. It woke me up a little bit.
I saw your boy on the broadcast the other day, Reaver.
Oh, yeah,
Ryan
yes.
Reeves hitting the sniffing salts.
Wow.
He's like, these aren't strong enough. Hit the other one, almost knocked himself out, and then came back
Those
in.
will get you going.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I
They'll
bet.
get you going.
I looked at that though, and I was like, you know what? That guy's out of his mind. He
Ray
was like, I'd
Burley,
get that
Ray
close
Burley
one,
had to
I'm
do that
knocking
to me
clean
one
out.
time. The only time I've ever had to get a sniffing salt up my freaking nose when I got knocked out by Winchester when we ran into each other at at Savage Center at the time with Kate's family there for the first time.
Oh, God.
And I'm choking on my tongue, and Burley's like, I'm like, wah! I try to get up, fall back down. Oh, God.
Kat, you ever find yourself having to get the
Anything?
sniffing salts while you're in the line of duty?
One time, I forget where we were, but like if you're in the camera well, you're in the line of danger, and I've never been hit directly with a foul ball. But Nolan Arenado scorched one that bounced around behind me and got me in the back of the head.
Oh, my God.
And you don't want to like be a wuss, like, get me to a medic.
I'm
you know?
dizzy.
So you just don't say anything. But at that moment, I probably could have used some smelling
And
salts.
that's why you want them gone.
Yeah.
You've been holding this for a while.
I have a grudge.
Well, that's why they're getting rid of him. You know.
I actually want him to stay. Here's the thing. A lot of times the big superstars can be jerks. And I've been around a while, so maybe they're not going to be directly a jerk to me like Gotti was.
Uh-oh.
But, see,
what do
I'm
you
always
mean?
going to get my revenge.
Was he, though, like Yachty, just because?
He just wasn't media friendly. It wasn't
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah.
But Nolan Arenado was as nice, and if you needed something, he would always do it. And for a big star like that, he's great. He's good people. He is good people.
I get that. You guys want to get into a little MIZ action?
Oh,
Well, when we all partied last year, I didn't get into college football until about a couple years ago. Hanging with all you guys, man, talking about it. I've really been watching that on Saturdays. A lot of drama. Speaking of drama, like sports right now with baseball to even football to college football, drama out the goddamn wazoo. I'm into it. But I'm also into Mizzou. You know, like we watched every fucking down last year, basically. Talking about it, we're breaking it down on Hot Take Central. And then they lay an egg.
No.
I mean, a big time. Like, does that set them back? Like, how do you?
It set them back about 13 spots in the poll.
I mean, so it was terrible. It was terrible. What do you like? What's your take on it right now, Maddie? What's going on with it?
In my professional
What's
opinion,
Streaky Poo not
in
doing?
my professional opinion, it was an absolute dog shit game, and there's nowhere to go but up for that as far as when you're playing
Well, unless you
actual
don't beat-
competition.
You know, you
No, that's
by
it. But I
90.
know they played 5 games. They started off hot when you're playing Murray State and Buffalo. I mean, it is what it is at that point. But then you play Boston College, you get brought back to earth. You're like, okay, maybe that's just 1 week. Then you get to Vandy, and you're like, this is a 21.5 point spread. And I was like, that's money in the bank. Take Vanderbilt on that, because after how they looked the week before, I was like, there's no way they're going to beat a team by 20 points. Now, granted, we've come to see Vanderbilt's got a little more fight to them than we thought we had. But Vanderbilt lost to Georgia Southern the week before, and they only did that to crash my parlay. I understand it, so don't worry about it. But, going forward and looking where it's at, I'd say at the beginning of the year, I said for sure, I thought Texas A&M and I thought Alabama on the road were going to be trouble. I didn't think it was going to be no reason to watch second half of the game trouble. But it was what it was. You're going to find out that they're playing UMass this week. I think you're getting back to
Those Minutemen are
Buffalo.
feisty.
Yeah, but what did
Unless
those
they roll
guys
a
do?
basketball
Didn't that
out.
suck, though?
Marcus Camby.
Donnie Marshall, all those guys. Danielle Marshall, was that him?
Are they happy about that? You think the players?
By
To-
losing
to
by
go-
35 on
They
the road?
loved it. They loved it.
No. They want to go to UMass and play them.
I mean,
Or do they wanna go
So
get-
they're going from a place that they had
Probably.
92,000 people to they just put scoreboards in 4 years ago, I think, at UMass.
There could be more pressure playing that.
I've heard that
dinky
the
team.
technology at UMass rivals the technology at the Edward Jones Dome.
Oh God, depressing.
They're not that far removed, UMass, from being a 1AA team.
No, yeah, exactly.
You know?
I mean, they're where they're supposed to be.
It's a weird middle of the season scheduling thing. But here's my
How
thing.
much are they paying UMass to go play this game?
boat-
$1 billion.
But
At least.
and maybe I don't know enough about college football.
No, don't
But-
do that to yourself.
Shouldn't Luther Burden be in there in third down situations?
So,
I watched the game and they were talking about what a difference maker he is in third downs, and then they had to notice that he was on the sideline.
I've got no information about this. I haven't had any conversations. This is just my outlook on watching the game. I feel like Luther might have called his number. Luther was pissed that whole game.
Yeah, he was
Luther
so
was
little
pissed.
temper tantrum.
After they called back that touchdown in the first half, then they got down by 2 touchdowns and everything went back. I think Luther might have called his own number. I don't know. Not saying he did.
Can't have that. Can't have that. And then the other question is, what is Cook? Like, I like him, and he can run. I know that, but every time there's a passing situation, it doesn't look like he comes up with a completion in a situation where it seems there for the
I
taking.
think watching that game at least, watching A&M, which I think spent like $10 million on their D-line this year. That those guys were a lot better than the 5 guys standing in front of him this past weekend. But you're going to figure it out because, I mean, you're not going to get in the SEC play and you play less athletes. It's going to keep picking up. I mean, it's going to be what it is.
More than
That's gonna
UMass?
be one of the better ones. Well, I mean, watch out for those Minutemen.
Man, they'll get you.
How about
Watch
this?
out.
Do you think there's, I don't want to say any chance, but I'll just ask it like that. Do you think there's any chance Mizzou makes the playoff? And I say that because we know they lost a game that a lot of people thought they would lose anyway, right?
Yes.
And you're thinking maybe 10-2. But I think the way the season has gone, now you're saying this team's probably more like 9-3 or 8-4.
You know, I don't.
Right?
4 losses would be a collapse.
Okay,
as
but
far
hold
as I'm
on.
concerned.
Let's just say you lose to Alabama, Oklahoma, and then just pick, let's say, Auburn or Arkansas.
I think that if they lose to Auburn, that's going to be
Okay, let's just say Arkansas.
that's going to be a big issue. I wanted to see what the spread was. So they're favored by 28.5 this week, 27.5 this weekend.
Will they cover?
That's a question. What do you do? You
I think they will.
Maddie, if you
I
had
would.
to.
I would bet Mizzou coming
What
off
do
an
you bet?
embarrassment. Without
What do you
even,
bet?
I didn't watch 1 second of the game, by the way. Just based on when you get humiliated, and then you're going to UMass, I would bet Mizzou.
I'm going to get back to that question you just asked me because you're acting like you don't know who I am.
I'm just
By the
saying.
way, I already bet Ohio State -3 at
That's
Oregon.
a different story right there, baby. Those are your
I
boys.
think
If
they'll
we're talking
come
about
out-
games that people actually care about,
There
and
it is.
programs that matter.
There it is. There it is.
They'll come out and make a point this weekend. I feel like. I think that they'll run it up this weekend. But to answer the original question you had about is the playoff a possibility, when you take a loss like they just took, you've got to offset that with a win of the same caliber. You've got to break even on those two because when they start to look at what that looks like, an ugly, nationally televised 30-point loss against A&M, you've got to go and beat one of those teams that you were talking about like that, whether it's Oklahoma, it's not going to be Alabama, or Arkansas or South Carolina, some team like that. You've got to go out there and you've got to beat them by 30 or 40 to make up for it.
But don't you think the fact that they looked bad versus Vanderbilt, they looked bad versus Boston College, and narrative matters. Like if you saw the first 4 or 5 games, Joel Klatt, who has a big microphone, he was destroying Mizzou's schedule.
And he wasn't
early
alone.
on. And I'm just saying, like, I do think the narratives matter. And if Mizzou was just 10-2, like if you just said Mizzou goes 10-2 before the season, I'd say playoff. But now, like, it's a soft 10-2. It's like not an impressive. And again, to get to 10-2, you have to beat Oklahoma. So I'm not saying they can't make it, but like right now, I would not bet that Mizzou goes 10-2. I would heavily bet that they lose 3 games.
I think that really what comes down to the test of them, what they've got to do, and what they did last year was they won games that they weren't supposed to win at the time. I mean, so if you're going to do it at this point, you got to go and take a win back, no matter what. Whether you beat them by 30 or whatever, it is what it is. You got to go and take a win back. Now, they most certainly can't lose 3 games and make the playoffs. That's just not going to happen. But when you also the thing to consider about 2 things about the playoffs is number one, we've never seen it before, so we don't know how that's going to look and what that voting is going to look like. But then also you still have conference championship games. Let's say you've got Ohio State and Oregon are playing this week. Let's say they play again down the road. I mean, both those teams are going to make it. How are they going to punish teams that lose in conference? And then how many teams are they going to not want to have from a conference? So how many SEC teams are in firing range to make it? There's a lot to answer about what the playoff picture is going to look like. But you have to do what you got to do to control your own destiny, and they've lost control of that now.
So in other words, you're going to face a UMass team that has a ton of 2-star recruits.
Smash mouth
and,
football.
and they have offensive linemen that weigh 170.
I know.
And you got to beat them by at least 30.
You know what? I'll put
pressure.
some coin on the 27.5 when I leave here.
I agree. I think they're going to be angry and they're going to play sort of
They got
an
embarrassed.
inferior
They
opponent.
got embarrassed.
So if you look at them, if they're 21st right now and they lose, let's just say they lose to Bama and beat Oklahoma, I don't even know if, I know it's not exactly like the top 12, but I don't even know if they'd get back in the top 12. You know what I'm saying? If they lose to
would be
Bama
hard.
and win out, like I still think they would be probably on the cusp of that.
Then they go to the Texas Bowl.
Well, that's no
What
fun.
was A&M
so fun.
ranked?
That's fun to watch.
What was it?
20.
Like 25th or 4th?
So they're a top 25 team, and they obviously destroy Missouri.
Top 25 team at home.
But at home, one of the toughest places to play. Everyone says, I've never been. But there was like a trap door opened on Missouri. How far did they drop? Another team might not have dropped that. Like, they dropped too far.
They dropped far like that in a week where you had, 4 top 10 teams lose. You had 7 teams in the top 25 lose, if not more.
It's been crazy.
USC fell out of the top 25 after they lost to Minnesota. You had a Tennessee team that was riding high. They scored 50 points in the first half a couple weeks ago that loses to Arkansas, and they go up. I mean, it just shakes everything back up.
But also, let's just be real. Mizzou has not looked good all season
No.
at all. They have not looked good.
They had 2
No, they really
shutouts
haven't.
against Murray State and Buffalo. What are you talking about?
But they have not.
haven't.
They actually have not. Have they covered all year? Not that that should really matter, but like they have not played an impressive game.
The spread week 1 was 51, I think, and I think they won by 50. So, yeah, they fell short on that one. Yeah.
Did you guys see Kendrick Perkins? What he said? What he wants to do?
About Mizzou?
No.
Oh, I was about
About
to say.
NIL money with the college kids and the high school kids. Did you see that, Charlie?
So what? He wants to start a company that takes a percentage,
Yeah.
gives them money early.
Loans them out.
Is this
and
like
then
the,
takes a-
is this
takes
like
a
the guy that
percentage.
went to Saudi Arabia to get NIL money from Colorado?
And people are bashing him like,
There was a
Saudi Arabia is the PGA Tour now, so
That's true. I'm sorry. My
There was a
fault.
group that used to do things like that back in the day. It was called the Mafia.
so they posted that. Somebody posted it and explained it. And I'm like, interesting.
You need to get an NIL deal with one of these
No
guys and
shit.
have one of these rolls on his shoulder, like wear a shoulder pad.
Mizzou, man. I've been saying, hey, I've seen him on potato chips. Why not put them on
And
the
those
sushi
potato
roll?
chips are damn good too, by the way.
Are they?
I don't care if he's not performing.
when I saw that story, though, obviously the reaction is going to be you're taking advantage of these kids. But how many kids are you going to give money to that don't become anything? Also,
Plenty.
No,
Right?
I know. You're rolling the dice.
so
You're
you're
risking. Yeah.
you are making a financial
Well, is
investment.
it about them becoming something, or is it about you getting the impact while they're in their job they're in now? Is it about them becoming big in the NFL, or is it about them being a star in college?
Well, they can get money. It depends on the state, though.
they get paid in high school in some places.
Right, in some states. But also, if you could give a family that needs money early that they don't have,
That's
Maybe
what,
my favorite guy
That's
is
what
Reggie
recruiting
Bush
is
this whole
for.
thing.
Okay, that's what recruiting is.
Blue Chips broke this all down for us 35 years ago.
they need to just have the schools pay the kids.
That's
from
what-
the
that's what they-
schools.
That's what the NIL collectives are about now, though. Is
Right.
that the
That's
schools
what it was
cut checks.
supposed to be. That was like, look, you're not going to pay every student athlete, right? Because then you have to pay someone on the fencing team, right? If you start doing that,
How dare you.
you're going to get sued. So you leave it to the NIL, and that's supposed to compensate really the athletes that are putting dollars back into the university. That's how it's supposed to work.
All right, I did want to bring this up, by the way, guys.
Action.
I don't have kids. Okay, so
We're your kids.
I got my puppies and the kitty cat or whatever, and the cat's like 17 years old. She's not doing good either, so it's kind of a problem. She's shitting all over the house now. She goes through phases with that, which is so goddamn awful when you get up in the morning. And the dogs are like, I want to get out of the room. And they smell something and they go right to it, And I'm like, damn it. So we put all these, it doesn't matter. Cat's sick, all good. So I have my little nieces.
Question
Kate's-
though.
Yeah.
Could you create like a diaper?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm serious.
I've heard that being done.
I'm dead serious.
Or
like a little
we
bag.
have potty pads everywhere.
Have you ever changed a diaper?
No.
Not fun.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Me neither.
No, I haven't. No, you haven't.
Most certainly
Because
have.
if you did, I'd be like, that's still kind of weird. Why would you change somebody else's
Nope, I'm pretty
child's
far
diaper?
down. I'm down the total
Very
for
weird.
diaper changing.
So I,
He used to work for Biden, that's why.
oh,
Can we edit that out?
bomb, no. Bombs away. We'll get into that in a second. But I just want to say real quick. So I took, they're 11 and 12, and I'm like, I want to, I love doing stuff with them. They look me up on YouTube, which is not good because the podcast is on there and I curse a lot. And I'm like, you can't do that. So I'm trying to give them as much attention as possible. So I'm like, their parents went out of town, 11 and 12. I'm like, let's take them to Six Flags. In my territory, I'm from Eureka. I've always hated Six Flags because it just brings in a bunch of god dang Hoosiers. And they
Brings
crowd-
them in?
I'm just saying.
Are they
It
already
does.
there?
Like
How
a different.
dare you say that?
I'm just saying.
Now
I say that.
Eureka's
I say that with love.
Eureka's expensive.
But
as
along
hell now.
44.
Are you talking bad about
Look at the
Oakville
property
again?
value there. It's expensive as hell.
I
Here's
know.
my point. We get there, I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I'm gonna take the kids. You could have whatever you want. You want a turkey leg? You want soda, which your mom and dad don't like you drink? I don't give a shit.
That's
this is Uncle Cam, baby.
$56.
This is. I'll get to that. So we get there, and I'm like, okay, Eva's the older one. I'm like, let's go on some rides. I'm like, let's do it. Like, girl, what's up? I know you're getting a little bit older now. You want to go on all the big rides? Like, let's go. So we go, and I'm like, yeah, yay. We separate from Kate and little Maya because she's not going on the rides. They're going to go do their own little thing. So I take Eva. I go on Mr. Freeze, the first one. No line. We get there right at the beginning. No line. I get in this thing. I'm like, this thing's freaking creepy, man. Like, it's like all dark and steam. I go in there. The thing goes down like this. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I don't fit. I don't fit. Wait a minute. I don't fit. I don't fit in this. Everybody else is snug. I'm like, I'm going to fall out. Now my vertigo is spinning. I'm like, it goes.
I think that's called a panic attack.
Panic. I'm sweating like, It goes backwards. All the way up this freaking thing. I'm like, I'm falling out. I'm going to fall out. I'm like, all the way down, gets through, and I'm like, okay. Afterwards, I'm like, oh, God. Like, whew, sweating my ass off. Like, okay. That wore me out, but it wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. Let's go on another one. We're on the American whatever the fuck. Go on that. Wasn't bad at all. Nice and easy. The comfy seats. It was new.
The
I could
Screaming
fit it.
Eagle?
I'm 250. No, I'm not going on that because it doesn't fit.
No.
I'm too big.
No.
So then she's like, I haven't been on the Joker. I go, is that big son bitch? That purple thing that's going like this, 1,000 feet in the air? She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, I'll do that with you.
No, no.
We go up. First off, the guy working there, such a dick. Such a dick. All these teenagers that work at Six Flags, they're literally yelling at you. There's no one in line at this point. They're yelling at you to do this and do that, like literally yelling at you. I'm like, turn off right off the bat. Then I have to take all the shit off and whatever, and you sit in this little circle. You sit in a circle, and they hunch down this thing on you like this, like bam. First off, it takes forever for them to get going. So you're sitting in this thing, fucking tight as shit. I'm like, like Eva's like laughing. I'm like, they take this goddamn thing down and it goes, bam, crushes my fucking lungs. So I'm like, literally having a panic attack. Literally having a panic attack. This ride.
A real one? A real panic attack? Like you're going
real.
crazy? Dang.
I was about to be like, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. I think those guys would have flipped me off. The people that work there don't give a damn. They would have been like, get out of here. I go up in this thing. It goes, and then you go up 1,000 feet.
No,
The
I
thing
don't.
starts creaking on me like this. Da-doosh. So you know how it snaps on? And I'm up 1,000 feet like
Well,
this.
you got some room.
I was crying. I had to turn I closed my eyes. I'm crying. Eva's laughing. Kate's watching with Maya like, oh God, she knows that this is gonna set me back. It lasted for 5 minutes. Wouldn't stop. The Joker, don't do it. All the way up, I was sweating so bad. I got out of that thing like this. Kate's like, oh God, didn't go on another ride. Ruined me. I had dreams about it for 3 days. It fucked me up. The Joker, don't do it. Not to mention, I went to go eat with the kids, $150. Food was dog shit. I hate that place. Hoosier
Wow.
Soup. Unless you're gonna be a sponsor.
Can I just say this?
Ruined me.
We might be able to rule that
Six
out.
Flags, Eureka, get out of here.
I'm not a guy who loves the scary rides, but you have a kid, he wants to go on them, you're going on.
Go ahead and try it.
Oh, I have. I've been on all of them with my kid, and I'll tell you what. And you don't want to show your kid that you're afraid. So you go, oh, you scared, Dad? No, there's nothing. And I pretend I'm not scared. And as soon as the ride starts, I close my eyes and say, please God, make it stop, make it stop. And then when it stops, like I'll my little, and then when it stops, I pretend like it was nothing. It was nothing. But I go through that too. I just don't. When you have a kid with you, you
Vertigo.
can't show that.
It got me.
What I noticed, so I haven't gone on any big roller coasters with my kids, but we've gone to like some spinny type rides. But about 5-7 years ago, we went to Cedar Point with my nephews. And I hadn't been to Cedar Point, which is like Six Flags, but actually bigger. We used to go there twice a year for my entire childhood. And you would do every ride. And I was never necessarily like scared of the rides, but you would do them and then you'd feel fine. You'd literally sprint to the next roller coaster, or you'd sprint and get right back in line and go again. But then like 5-7 years ago, my body was broken. Like my neck, my back. No, seriously.
That's another thing, yeah.
I mean, as a kid, you don't feel any of that. As you get older, you're at a roller coaster, you're like walking away banged up.
We don't fit.
Neck.
We're not supposed to fit, dude.
I can't
But,
even
like,
lay
dude,
on the
your
couch
neck
the
is
wrong
full.
way, let alone get yanked around the head.
Don't do the Joker. It really screwed me up. The other ones I got through with, but that one, it wouldn't stop. And it kept unclicking farther and farther. And it's like, and I feel like if I would have splat down 1,000 feet in front of everybody, the workers there would have scooped me up and like put me in the trash and, went on with the day.
I just think you were in your feelings,
I
I
was
think.
soaking wet.
I think they weren't that mean. Everything was amplified.
I don't like when people are like, they're like yelling at you. They're all like yelling at everybody. But there are some like hardcore dudes that, like when you're a punk kid, you get your other punk kid buddies, and we've all been there in our life, and you go to Six Flags. So once like the day started going on, you got all those groups of guys, they're bumping India, they're doing this, I'm like, it's over. Then we go out to our parking lot. We don't know where the car is.
Car's gone. One of
There's
those kids took it.
50,000 cars. I'm like, oh, my feet are killing me. I'm like sick. I'm spinning. And, the day's over. I'm done for the day. And we waited like 40 minutes to find the car.
Did you drink at Six Flags?
No, I drank soda. I was crushing these sodas like,
Was it super hot?
What's the one at Branson?
it's Silver
Silver Dollar City.
You know what I noticed the difference between Six Flags and Silver Dollar? At Silver Dollar, the workers,
Or 80.
and they love their job.
And they're
That's
wearing-
the difference. Thank you.
They're
Everyone
wearing
there-
clothes from Little House on the Prairie.
Everyone
difference.
there is nice.
They are.
And
Like
here's the other
bonnets.
thing, too. I think the poors don't buy the fast passes. Like, we've been to Disney and some of the bigger ones, and you can get the fast pass.
Yeah.
And it just means you're waiting 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. You go to Branson and you get the fast pass. It's like an extra $20 or something.
I've never been to
They
the
like
Disney.
their job.
And you go right to the front. You
I
go
heard
right-
that at the Disney, people can go do rides, but you can just sit around and drink the whole time and kick it. Like, there's a lot of
Pretty
different
good.
things you can do.
Disney's,
Yeah, for
Disney does
14
everything
grand.
right.
It's probably really expensive, I would say.
Drinking
You're
with
right.
kids, though, is also counterproductive. Like, it's not fun to
tired.
drink with your kids.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I mean,
yeah,
I'm not like drinking beers with my kids, but like,
well.
if you even have 2-3 beers as you're walking around a park with your kids, it's just a nightmare. Like, you have to pee, you're tired, you have to give them a shoulder ride, you have to walk back to the car, you have to carry all their shit.
have to
It's
say,
just,
I mean,
Wears you
it's
out.
not good.
That's true.
It wears you out. Anyway, I'm just throwing my experience out there, man. I'm a wimp now, and I'm overweight, and I can't fit in those rides.
So
Have
I'm
you
glad
gained
you
weight
brought it up because
since
I was-
radio?
I think I'm 250. Like I skated last night. I'm 250. It crushed my freaking sternum, dude. And I was like, it really. And I'm like, because I remember reading when I read about all these tragedies, as
As
that I'm
one does.
obsessed with it.
As Cam does.
And that that kid that fell off the thing because he was overweight, and I'm like, this is gonna be me. And the thing kept going back. Oh god.
Didn't they also not strap him in, though?
Well, yeah, they
You know
Hillbilly
what?
Carney forgot
This
to.
is great because we're used to this, but this never gets old. Eric, what's your favorite natural disaster of all time? Because somebody on this dais has an answer. What's your favorite
You're right.
natural
You can't ask normal
disaster?
people that
This is also very timely.
Yeah. And insensitive.
Yes.
You shouldn't. Listen,
No, that
Eric,
was the
Eric,
right.
Eric.
How can you
Just
have
say
a favorite? Yes.
what's the most memorable?
Thank you. No. You're normal. That's all that meant.
Now, Cam,
You can make
explain
Well, I
this.
like tornadoes as my number one, if I'm going to rank them. But I will say hurricanes are goddamn the scariest thing going, okay? They are the scariest thing going. And if you're a Florida resident, man, and you just built this, now you've spent all this money on this beautiful property, and all of a sudden, 2-3 years in a row, you're getting fucking rocked, where you have to take all your family, your
2
kids,
weeks in a row.
2 years in a row, you're getting rocked. 3 years in a row, you're getting
3
something.
decades.
Decades. If there was a little bit if you really look at it, like they come in bunches, man. And like we just saw Helena, which our buddy Corey Schonhorst, who runs a show around here, and my boy, he's like looking for bodies in Asheville right now in North Carolina. And there's all kinds of weird drama going on with this, all kinds of stuff. So the
That
point
thing
is,
ripped
man.
the roof off of the Thunderdome.
Did you see that? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
damn right it did. Like, so it's such a weird thing, man. And this has been happening for a long, long time. Don't get me wrong. But it to be a Florida resident, and we've talked about this before, Charlie, about the insurance and stuff like that, where you just you completely get wiped out. Not to
And
mention,
so do, by the way, we're all alive, but we also get wiped out with insurance because of that.
I know.
Everyone does.
Everybody does. It affects everybody. And then you look at it and you got this big hurricane coming. And then you got goddamn wedge tornadoes popping up everywhere in Florida. They're like, look at this. Right where the Panthers play. There's a water spout, another tornado, and then the wedge tornado. All in one picture. Just wrecking everything. So it's like, damn, like I like Florida.
Be honest though.
Not the middle of Florida.
Be honest. When Milton gets downgraded from a Cat 5 lower, do you get a little disappointed?
That is such a good question. It's unbelievable. I did wake up this morning and I'm like, wow, that doesn't look like that.
No suffering.
I'm just,
Aw.
listen,
This dude loves natural disasters.
I was just telling you.
He loves them.
It just missed Tampa, dude. The way that how it spins didn't flood.
I
It
thought
actually
about you.
sucked the water
I'm dead
out.
serious.
I know you did.
I thought about you the second because, like during the day I'm pretty busy, but I hear, okay, this is going to be a Cat 5. Get ready. Kids finally go to bed. Sit down. And I rarely actually watch TV news, but I'm like, I want to see some of the coverage. And I see it was a Cat 3, right?
Yeah.
And I immediately thought, like, Cam wanted a Cat 5.
No.
Cam, hold on. Cam, just so you know, Cam doesn't want people to die.
Thank you.
But Cam wants, like,
He
the
wants to know it
heaviest,
happened.
biggest, just like, he wants kind of like destruction that doesn't hurt people, which
Cam
is
wants the-
Which is
impossible.
impossible. So I'm in like no man's land.
Cam wants the Black Hole Sun video.
It's interesting to me. But it's not because it turned into a Cat 3. It's just because of where it hit and the way the rotation would either suck water in or drain it out. And it drained it out instead of having a storm surge, which kills most people.
See, I thought of Cam as soon as they were like, yes, the storm is going to hit Florida, but right now there are tornadoes. So you're going to have tornadoes, then a hurricane. I was
Double
like,
dipping.
Cam loves this.
I was
I'm double dipping.
I was like, oh
Glued
man,
to it.
I can't believe we've got a show again tomorrow. This is gonna
Shit,
be.
there's hockey going on. There's playoff baseball going on. There's football going on, college football. There's tornadoes. There's hurricanes. I'm in my happy place right now.
You're riding the wave
You
right
know.
now. No pun intended.
But there is drama going on in the world. And I do want to give your perspective about what's going on coming up here in the next couple weeks with Kamala and D. Trump. What's going to happen? What are your predictions? What are your thoughts? Jimmy, let's hear you.
So watching the storm coverage, I thought to myself, if they could pull something that has never been done before and make DeSantis the nominee, I think he would win the election. People are not happy with either candidate. I think with Kamala, what we're going to see is the greatest bait and switch in the history of this country because everyone knows what she believes in and how she will govern if she wins the election. She's going to go back to being total progressive, and everyone kind of knows what Trump is, and it's hard to argue with someone who just hates Trump. I get it. So I think you have two candidates that are both flawed, and I don't think America is going to be happy with either one of them, although if I would reluctantly vote for Trump. I'm not a Trumper. I just think Kamala's too far to the left. And I also think both sides talking about dishonesty and misinformation. I've never seen political parties and the heads of political parties lie more than the Republicans and the Democrats. And when they point at each other, they're both right
The
because
Superman
there's too
meme
much.
where they pointed at each other like, you did it.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, my bad, yeah.
Same guy.
Whatever. Superhero.
But they're not the same, though, in terms of from a policy standpoint. I'm just talking about the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if it was like Obama versus Mitt Romney. Where it's like, their policies aren't that different.
Yeah.
But I feel like Trump and Kamala are.
They're
Do you
pretty
agree that
diametrically
she would
opposed.
govern from way to the left?
No, I don't. I don't think everybody will disagree with me. Like the border is a disaster until this year because it's an election year. But like, I don't actually think Biden and Harris were that far left from a policy standpoint. I think Kamala, where she's getting destroyed, rightfully so, is when she ran for president in 2020, she made a huge strategic error of trying to go left of Bernie Sanders to win, which not only did she not win, but they're bringing up all of the crazy shit she said from 8 years ago, like, hey, I'd be cool with giving sex changes to illegal aliens in
But she
in
was to
prison.
the left of Bernie when she was a senator. I mean, you can look that up. Like the nonpartisan, she was voted to the left of Bernie. You can look that up. That's true. That's who she is. And I also don't buy, like when I see her in an interview now, look, you can pick apart Trump's too. I'm not saying this guy. But when I see Kamala, I think her believability is zero on things, zero. And I think to myself, all right, you had Biden, and for years you said that's misinformation when you're saying that he's mentally incapable anymore. That's a deep fake and a cheap fake, and they lie about that because clearly when he got in the debate stage, something wasn't right. So it's hard to believe them. By the same token, Republicans have told an awful lot of lies. But I do think if suddenly they're like, okay, you can vote for DeSantis, he would win going away.
They could have.
They could have.
They absolutely could have.
The
Here's the thing
Republic-
about DeSantis, and
He
this
was
is
a terrible
so true.
candidate, though. He was
He
a
is
terrible
great.
Biden.
Okay, but also you could have just punted. You could have punted Trump after January 6th, and Mitch McConnell even said you should have. They didn't vote for that. Ron DeSantis is great at governing. He's fantastic at governing. During COVID, if you saw the press conference the other day where he owned this one reporter trying to make it political, DeSantis is great at governing and terrible at campaigning.
He was a terrible kid. I remember the scene when they were like, who would still vote for whatever? And this is DeSantis, who you're used to being large and in charge, and you could see he looked around before. And I was like, maybe I don't know that guy.
But if they would have moved on from Trump immediately after 2020, they would have basically coalesced around DeSantis. So he could have won. Or Vivek, whoever. Like Nikki Haley only came in second because she was the non-Trump Republican. Like if Donald Trump wasn't running, Ron DeSantis beats Nikki Haley. The only reason that Nikki Haley was second is because you had like other little pieces like Vivek who was getting some percentage, but like there was no chance Nikki Haley was going to win the primary versus DeSantis. More Democrats liked
Well, I've
Nikki Haley.
already voted. I'm done with it.
You have?
I'm done already. Yeah, I'm not going to be here on election day. So
I'm actually flying on election day also.
yeah. So
I'll be out of town.
I had to move around. I'm already done. And
So you voted for Trump?
President being what it is, you know I did. President being what it is. I was most excited to vote for Amendment 2 here in Missouri, which opens up sports gambling from my living room. I haven't been more enthusiastic. I went right past president and looked for that and read that
I
thoroughly and
know.
made sure I dotted that in the right way.
What are those ads about? So I always do try to read before I jump into an
Me too.
opinion or voting.
Me too.
So, like, it seemed like 2 is a
Two-
no-brainer. It's gambling, right?
2 is the no-brainer for me.
But hold on. But then I see
Gambling's
an ad,
evil, though.
But then I see
morally wrong.
But
too.
then because I don't have any moral objections to it, okay? But then, and it's always teachers. They're like, like, you love education, you should vote yes on this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Except
It's a good ad.
It's a good ad. And then at the end they go, and we can get raises. So that's why we're for
It's some of the best politicking of the season.
But then I saw another one against it.
Yeah.
And it had retired teachers who this won't affect their salaries. And they were explaining how the money isn't guaranteed to go to education. And then I thought, and I don't know the answer. I still have to look into it. But then I thought, hey, isn't the lottery funding our schools? Remember, the Missouri lottery is funding. Wait a minute, there's always shortfalls with our schools? I see, when you go to the Quick Trip or who's sponsoring us, whatever the convenience store is, there's always a line for the lottery. We don't have enough money.
And there's always the guy
because the money isn't going in.
And there's always the guy who's cashing his ticket in right in front of me at
No
6
matter.
o'clock in the morning. when I
It
gotta go.
drives me nuts. But I want them to spend money.
But the thing for me when I look at that is that every time that I go to cross the bridge to gamble, there's 15 cars from Missouri sitting along the side of the road.
At that Shell station by
spending
Top Shooters?
money into Illinois.
Yeah.
And they said $30 million left the state last year, to go to other states. I'm just like, come on, what are we doing? This is a no-brainer.
And offshore.
Keep the
How many
money
people
here.
on their phone are betting through?
Exactly.
Aruba.
All right, so
Exactly.
what about those retired teachers in the ad that I saw?
As the son,
Jeremiah.
as the son of a retired teacher, I would tell my mother wholeheartedly, Ma, me winning these parlays is doing more for you than
Right.
what's not going to happen for you doing
gotta
it that
look it
way.
up.
So
No.
that was my number one.
You want to lose the parlays, right?
No, I want to win the.
No, but for the teachers, I guess it doesn't matter.
Do it for
I've spent the
kids.
money at that point.
Yeah.
Do it for the kids.
It's
yeah.
for the kids.
Yeah. So and of course, out of my allegiance to you, I abstained from the lieutenant government
Good.
vote. I said I'll wait.
Jumping in at the last
wait.
second.
You should read, you already voted. Read Amendment 7, the way it's written. It's the most egregiously,
it's weird.
criminally written amendment I've ever seen in my life. And the only reason I know about this is I was sent a poll via text. And I'm like, you always hear people say, who fills out a poll? And I'd never done it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to actually fill out a poll. And it was very comprehensive. Everything national, everything local, all the state amendments. And I read Amendment 7. I did a little video on this. And I was like, what did I just read? And it's crazy. There's like 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph says, it essentially says, do you not want non-citizens to vote? Okay? But then it's put in there like, okay, good. You don't want non-citizens to vote. But then also you can't have ranked choice voting, which are totally different things. And by the way, non-citizens already can't vote. So it's like they threw the non-citizen part at the beginning to scare you from not voting for ranked choice voting, which most people think would get us more moderate candidates in primaries. Just if you don't believe me, go look up Amendment 7, and you will. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD. You will read this amendment and you will be confused.
What is it about? What is ranked vote? What is
ranked choice voting? Basically, so like you don't have the primary of Democrat, Republican. Like you can only vote for one. Like you rank them. So you might like this person first, but you like that person second, that person third, and so it gets you more moderate candidates because you could have people who that person got 37% of the second place vote. That person got 22% of the third place vote. Like all the states that are doing this are, and this is not like partisan, you're getting more moderate candidates because in the primaries, you essentially have to appease to the extremes to win. And then we get these candidates we all hate.
Yeah.
Because they're crazy.
Interesting. By the way, check out Punchline Productions. This is Camversation. We got Jim the Cat Hayes. We got Charlie Marlow. We got Maddie Whitener. We got E coming down with those lovely, lovely sushi. I'm going to grab. It's damn good, dude. I mean, sushi for lunch.
It's this
here.
good.
Do a little podcast. You get sushi. Usually we get like chicken tenders, and Charlie orders a salad, and then I do an hour-and-a-half segment, so he has to
Chicken
stare at it.
buffalo
'Cause you have
chicken
to
salad.
Stare at it. You have to
This was a long
stare at
time
it.
ago.
So what do you guys all got going on? So we can tell all the people what we got going on. Maddie, what's up with you?
I'm traveling around, living my life, talking to the folks.
Are you
getting
happy?
things going.
Are you
Wow.
a happy guy? I'm just saying.
Wow.
Like,
You
do I
see,
wake up
in
and
general-
am I gloomy or am I?
You would just a normal. You like what's going on. Everything good with you.
Everything is fantastic. It's NFL season. It's the heart of gambling season.
A lot
for
of
me.
stuff going on.
It's fantastic. I love it. Baseball's popping off. This is my second favorite part of the year right now.
Throwing money down on
The
some
spring
things.
is the absolute best, but this is my second favorite
Spring?
part of the year.
I think fall's my favorite.
my favorite, dude.
season by
Supposed
far.
to be 90 degrees Saturday. 90
Yeah, when
degrees
does the
again.
fall actually happen now?
It's
Because this
freezing
is-
cold in the morning. I put a fire on in the morning.
It was like 46 degrees. I was in Milwaukee on Monday. It was 46.
Milwaukee, that's what we call
I'm
it.
sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
Thank
You
you.
like that? You like that city?
It's there.
It's there.
That's it.
Same.
It's there. It's okay. It's okay.
It's no St. Louis.
I tell you what, when you,
No,
when
it's
you
kind
talk
of similar.
when you talk about politics, boy, oh boy, they don't know what they're going to do up there. It is completely different. TV is completely different. All the ads, everything that happens up there. I was driving through a neighborhood. You had a Trump sign here. You had a Harris sign there. You had
That's good.
some other. It was all. I was just
Yeah.
like, man, this is what it used to look like here before it used to be a definitive statement on your character as a human being to put a sign up about. Yeah, I think I'm leaning this person's way.
Don't you
Hold
think
on.
that's the case, though? That's why in my area I see yes on Prop whatever. I told my kid I'm going to put up yes on Prop 12. I didn't even know if there is one, just to be different. But you'll see the prop signs, but you won't see many Harris or
You don't see anything
or
here.
Trump.
Well, come on by me.
That's what stood out to me being in other places though was I was like, oh, people are still doing it because there's nothing, and some HOAs don't want you to do it. You could do it if you want
Yeah.
to. So sometimes people don't.
Don't you think there's way less?
Way less than you.
I don't think people are as proud to vote for either. And they're also just like, I don't want to piss off my neighbors.
Right,
Either
that's
way,
what-
like
No doubt about
That's
it.
what it is.
I get totally get
do you
that.
think that how you vote is the most sensitive question you can ask anybody in America now?
No.
no. How you vote?
Yeah, who are you going to vote for?
Nah, I could ask you a sensitive question.
That's like
wanna dig
that's
into
like a regular
You know?
question that will come up in conversation, not
Yeah.
Look,
I think so. There's more-
even
I get
back
what
in
you're
the
saying.
day, you'd say, you're in a bar, you don't talk politics. We don't talk politics. There's a reason for it. I just think it's more toxic now than it ever has been. And I've said it before, like, we can disagree politically. I'm not going to hate you for it.
No.
The fact that people on both sides like say if you vote for this and you're human garbage. We got to get past that.
Well, that's the point, though. Like, isn't it healthy, though, to have a conversation like we just did with whatever?
Aren't these the conversations you have in real life, though? Like,
Yeah, at the,
I mean,
at the
like-
bonfire at your buddy's house and stuff.
okay, but like the craziness is on social media.
Yeah.
Like
The
every
craziness
conversation
is
I
on
have about
social media.
politics is totally normal. I think the divide is not Republican Democrat anymore. It's normal people and crazy people. It's normal Democrats and normal Republicans who are just reasonable and psychotic people.
And it
On both-
happens,
who
it
are on the
happens
fringes.
online because online is the only place where some people have exposure to people who aren't like them.
And there's
So that's where
Yeah,
it
that's
goes
true.
crazy. You've got distance. People are more willing to do that. That's why you see crazier conversations happen there. Anybody that sits in front of another person and talks to another person most sane people aren't going to be as over the top and extreme as they are.
I see it a little differently. I think the world is divided into people that do the right thing and put blue cheese on their wings, and those that put
I was
ranch.
waiting for this to happen.
You're the restaurateur here, Eric. Is that the right thing?
Well, blue cheese on wings.
Where's your position?
So,
I don't care
well,
who you vote for.
versus
I
ranch,
don't
though.
care. I don't care what you do otherwise. I want to know if you're a blue cheese person or a ranch person.
You
Oh,
love
you
our
can't be
country or
wrong.
you don't. That's it.
I'm gonna be 100% blunt. Like, I think ranch is trash.
Wow.
I think ranch is trash. Just
But
in
do you think
general.
blue cheese is good?
Wow.
I'll put that on my wings.
There you go.
I'll put blue cheese
great
on my
American.
wings before
That's
ranch.
the show.
East
That's what
Coast
Charlie
boy.
would go to break.
Well, so I'm a little biased. My dad's side of the family's from Buffalo, so I was always a big Bills fan, all that kind of stuff. And but yeah, it was always,
Condolences.
it's always blue cheese. But I just think in general, like I just don't like ranch. Everyone loves ranch. They put people drink it here in the Midwest. It's,
Yeah,
it's
we're
insane.
obese
Yeah,
in the
it's
Midwest.
pretty insane. And blue cheese, I think it's kind of funky, but I think it's
Do you put blue
built-
cheese on any sushi?
no.
Just asking.
Yeah,
built for
I think you
wings.
could, but it'd be a little funky.
How do you get it? Or how do you separate yourself? Because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of sushi restaurants, even here in the Midwest, Like, how do you separate? Like, you got to be on your game. Everything's got to be fresh. Like, it's got to be a tough
Yeah.
adventure, an unknown adventure.
Yeah, you just as you said, you just got to be on top of your game. Like you can't really take a break because everything is it's moving so fast. And if you do take a break, even on on the food side, you're gonna get left behind. Like you're gonna start using.
Like, what's take a break mean? Being just complacent on what your menu
so,
is.
I think it goes along the lines of most things, and you can compare it to like sports. You get complacent with your skill level, and you think that you're so great that all of a sudden you get these young guys just surpassing you because they're taking risks, they're doing things a little bit differently, they're being a little more progressive in terms of their skills, and then now it's broadcasted everywhere. So you get all these cool shows all over Netflix and all these things, and so people are looking at that and like, whoa, you're not a chef because you can't perform like that. You don't have nice skills like that. So I mean, for me, it's like I always have a knife in hand, pretty much. For good purposes, it is.
I will say
Well, you
this.
live in St. Louis.
I will say this though.
Yeah.
I watch if somebody even being on social media, which I mean, I don't know how the percentage of people are on. I mean, you look at your thing at the end of the week, and you're like, oh God. But like, I'm obsessed with people cooking food or chopping sushi or making sushi. I'll go on YouTube and look at all these hardcore cats in Japan that have these little places the size of this, where it costs $5,000 to come in or whatever. It's real expensive, and you don't even know what's on the menu.
Yeah.
He makes it like it's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So like, I think I could speak for a lot of people too. That when you I skip through a lot of things, but if you're cooking, you're showing me how to make sushi and what you do different or whatever. I'm watching that damn thing.
Yeah, I think the food scene is coming on extremely strong. I think St. Louis food scene is tremendous now compared to what it was. And when I came to St. Louis in 06. Like in 06, it was good, but I think now like we have some really great chefs in town and some really great venues. I don't get a chance to go out to eat as much because I'm always working, I'm always cooking, I'm always doing something. But seeing these young guys and so many people are nominated for like the James Beard stuff and getting some finalists in there, that's pretty impressive. Like you got to say that finally St. Louis is getting. It's due. Yeah, it's getting its due.
We need it.
Yeah, and people are being seen, which is great because before it was, everyone was just going up to Chicago and looking at what's going over there, because Chicago is this great big thing. But I mean, we're pretty blessed to have some great stuff here.
Well, you know, the thing I always
But I
think
still
about,
don't like Provel cheese. I still don't.
Provel, really?
Yeah,
we gotta get,
I'm sorry.
we gotta get Chaim Bloom's stance on that to figure out if he's gonna be able to build a
East
better
Coast.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
So the thing I think always about sushi though, and I've seen you make hundreds of rolls, it feels like, is that it stays unique because everybody just can't do it, or at least everybody doesn't know how to do it. Like there's so much that goes into it and something, and when you put it together, so like when you're putting a roll together, say you're doing something for a major league team, or you're even doing something for a small dinner, like how do you cultivate that? Like what goes into your head about when you're like, somebody doesn't say, hey, this is exactly what I want, they're just like, Eric, go and whatever you bring is what we're gonna do. How do you get to a creative place with food?
Ranch.
Yeah, I take blue cheese. No, well, so you just have to ask the right questions, I guess. You know, there's some people that, and we're still, you know, it's Missouri, so not everyone's going to be on the whole sushi thing. And I think I'm really happy that sushi has now become just a cuisine that's talked about. You know, if you say, where would you like to go out to eat? Finally, sushi is there. It's like, you know, it's one of the categories. It used to be just like Italian, Chinese, etc. Right? And now, but you know, past decade, sushi is right up there too. Like everyone's talking about, like, oh, I want sushi today. So much so that it's in all the grocery stores and all that. But back to your question, you still have to ask the questions because some people are like, hey, we travel a lot. Just bring your best. And you're like, yes, this is awesome. So you don't have any, so I don't have to worry about gluten-free. I don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Or
right?
like, yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, don't worry about any allergies. Just bring your best. I'm like, that's awesome. So then you get like some of the best products. You know, you call up the right guys. Like, hey, I need some, like just great stuff. And then like today, I was on the phone with the lady. She wants to do something for Christmas, and she said, we're just beginners. And then you're like, okay, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be there on site. It'll be fun, but you know, I'm doing crab and shrimp and a lot of sauce. You know, it's it's simplified, but you always have to just be creative, think of something new, and you have to, like most things, you kind of have to fail at a lot of dishes. Like I've put some stuff together that just tastes like junk. I'll be practicing or working on something like, yeah, that's not going out the door. That's crap. That's going right in the garbage can.
I'll eat that fucking.
But so I'm just saying, like I've made so many mistakes on trying to put flavor stuff together, and you can get too creative. You can get like too far out there and just think it works, but to the masses, it's like, that's not too good.
You got to be honest with yourself, right?
Well, you have
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Like, you have to, like, and that's where part of it comes into. You know, you can't always just think like, oh, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. You have to understand, like, okay, I'm gonna create some stuff that's gonna be average on some days. Like, you know, you think you're bringing your game, and you're like, man, my performance was off. It really is. Like, I think of it as, I love sports. Grew up playing sports all the time, and you think about it, like, man,
Middle linebacker.
Yeah, baby.
Number 55.
Nobody believes me, but man, number 55, baby. Oh, I'm about the same size as I was in high school, you know. But you think about like a performance, like, oh, I did okay on that one, on that performance, or and I knocked that one out of the ballpark today. That's awesome.
Where all the women are like, this is unbelievable. Who did this? Right here, baby.
Well, I read something to where they said cooking, when women see men cook, it's like one of the top 5 most attractive things.
What are the other 4?
Don't say hair. Don't say hair.
I think number 1 was reading. I thought that was very interesting.
I doubt that.
But that means that like guys don't read anymore. Like, why is that so attractive?
I don't know.
Yeah, dudes
I
don't
don't
read.
remember the last time I sat down with the wife.
I
and
bet
read
you
a
that's
book.
not true.
Yeah.
Not making a ton of money,
But I
being
was
a
like,
professional athlete, taking
yeah.
out the garbage.
No.
We know the real top 5, but cooking was up there, and I was like, yes.
It is, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
So, and for a man, a woman. No.
So you've done a couple of signature roles. You did one for our boy Big O. Name one
Yeah,
after
Big O.
him that's out there.
Yeah.
If what I want to see happen here is that I want to know what a role that was dedicated to you would
Might be
consist
expensive
of.
now. I'm
What would
fancy
be in
as
there.
shit.
Because you're a fancy.
I am fancy.
Beard
But
dip.
I don't want you to. I'm glad you're doing this because I don't want you to answer it. If Eric was to come to
Weed.
you, Charlie's already going down the road. What would be in a Cam role based on the things we've seen him eat during the years of doing programming together?
I didn't eat.
Tuna?
I eat beef sticks in front of you and tuna. But like, I can't eat in front of people. Like, I'll eat anything, man. Even when I was a kid, I was never picky. Like, I just was never picky. I'd try anything.
Yeah.
But of course, like, we never had sushi out there. Now I see sushi places pop up way out there. You know,
Yeah.
the more west you go, I see them like, oh, cool, I'll check this place out, which is nice.
They're
That just means that
everywhere.
the trend is going
Yeah.
further out.
Yeah, they're popping up everywhere.
The challenge I want to see is I want to see you make a roll that's inspired by you.
The
It's
can roll?
Well, certainly has to have tuna that comes from a can inside.
It's going to be expensive. It's going to be like Louis the 14th.
Oh,
Maybe a
nice.
little Skull flavor in there.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
with tobacco in there.
A little hint of skull.
Some, I'll just wrap it in like big tobacco leaves. Or
Your
something.
reputation.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that was cool, man. Should we do this again?
Well,
Should we do this again?
definitely, but we're getting ready to go and get some rolls made for us now too.
Hell yeah.
To see how this actually comes together in the first place, and it's going to make Cat a hero.
Yeah, because I'm going to bring some home to eat. I'm not a sushi guy, but my wife loves it. And if you could, in the middle of the day, you bring home fresh sushi.
That's one of the 4 things. That's one of the other things. So it's cooking and then bringing home food.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of them. So we just got to figure
Don't
out
even
the other
care.
thing.
Don't worry about the
Reading.
money part.
Reading. Sorry.
It's reading.
Writing,
Reading and writing.
arithmetic.
Like a child. Well, I do want to bring give a little shout out to Adventure Unknown right here in Fenton, Missouri. Check it out. Punchline Productions, Camversation. You can check this out on Charlie Marlow's YouTube as well. Of course,
Sure,
you want to
yeah.
follow all of us on social media, Instagram to Twitter. The cat at Bally's. Might have to change that. I don't know. We'll see. Or keep it. Doesn't matter. Follow me on all kinds of different things. We're going to be doing this quite a bit. We're going to be going to different businesses. We're going to different restaurants. We're going to try all kinds of different stuff. So check it out. Adventure Unknown, Punchline Productions, Camversation. Appreciate you guys coming out. Love all y'all. What's up?